And you're James Dillahunt.
James A. Dillahunt Jr.
Junior, okay. So I guess just start off by telling us, did you grow up in Jones County?
Yes, I was born here in 1945, about a mile and a half behind Oak Grove Church there on 10 Mile Fork Road in the township at the time called Polliceville, but we were way back up in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was there for a few months, and then my parents um, moved and stayed with my other grandparents, which was about on 101 over 1001, crossing the Brent Francis Remington place over there,
Okay.
the Drummond place up in the, we had a what they all called the poorhouse place where my grandparents were living at the time, and I stayed there for about maybe 2 or 3 years while my parents were traveling because my dad was working building roads at the time for a while until about 1950, 51, and he moved back to this area and started sharecropping on the Ebbett Andrews farm. So from 50 to 59, I lived on a farm and we farmed. And we farmed because between my mom and dad and I, we leased the Andrews place, sharecropped that, and then tended my grandparents' farm, 15 acres, and then leased another 50 acres from Mr. Wayne Mallett, who grew corn and soybeans. And so it was a lot of work, to say the least. So I learned very early in life the aspects of hard work. And so that was something that I think actually stayed with me in my travels and exploration of life, and being able to do things through trials and tribulations and stick with it until the job was done, I guess, also was probably some of the training involved. And my dad decided in 1959 that he had enough of sharecropping, and so his brother had a job for him in Boston. So he moved with my mom to Boston, Massachusetts in 1959. And after they got settled, I moved up in 1960. And I was in Boston from 1960 until 65. So I went from walking behind a mule barefooted, sharecropping, to sophisticated Boston, from segregated schools to integrated schools. And I guess the Campbell was about 50-50, if not 46, something like that. But then I was selected to go to Boston English, which was the second high school at the time in Boston. And that was practically all white. So that was another major transition, all boys, and various things. And from there, I graduated in 64 and was working at MIT at the time. In June, July of 65, a little voice in my head said, "You better call the draft board and check on your status," because that was the time they really started building up the Vietnam thing. I called the draft board and the woman knew my name by heart. Scared me half to death. "You do not want the draft board knowing your name by heart like you're a long lost friend." I said, "Oh, Mrs. Dillahunt, I got your letter right here on my desk." Ah. And the only reason I had to send it out because when I was like 17, 18 years old, I bumped a guy's bumper at a stoplight. And he took to court, claimed injury to him and his wife and his car. And I wound up paying this guy something like $300 of my school part-time money because I was working always after school. And at the time, I thought it was the most foul thing in the world because it just tapped his bumper because carelessly looked away and rolled against his bumper. And I come to find out years later, after I thought about it, that incident may have saved my life, because had not that happened, and I had not had that cleared off my records when they finished paying it off and everything, they forgot to take it off a file. That kept them from drafting me in 1965 into the Army. And so when I found that out, I went down and volunteered for the Coast Guard that night, and then wound up going to the mailbox Saturday morning with some greetings from the Air Force. So the Air Force was interested in me joining the Air Force. I said, well, if you got to do military duty, the Air Force is not a bad way to go. So I took my stuff over and switched over for the Air Force. And I'm signed up waiting to go in the Air Force. And about a month later, the Army cleared my record and found out I hadn't left, even though I was waiting, signed up and everything to go into the Air Force, because of the spina meningitis epidemic that happened somewhere in that summer of 65. The troop movement in Lackland, Texas, where the training area was for the Air Force, was delayed and backed up. So the Army said, well, we're going to give you 10 days. Unless you're going, we're going to induct you into the Army anyway. I said, no, 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 because at the time, that was mud hole jungle Vietnam warfare, and a lot of people getting killed, messed up real bad, because I knew 2 or 3 guys that already gotten killed and wounded that took the physical with me that were, at the time. So my spirit says, no, we don't want to go in the Army or Marine Corps because I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. Joke, joke, joke. So the guy said, well, I'll tell you what I'd do if I was you. I'd take my stuff across the street to the Navy. I said, the Navy? Oh, no. Because the Navy at the time had the most racist reputation of all the branches of service because it was basically all white and had some other funny things going on I've heard also. And so, but to keep from going drafted on the Marine Corps, I said, well, Navy is the only alternative for me. So I want to go into the Navy. That's how I want to go into the Navy because it was not my first choice at all. But so happened it worked out because after I got there the second week, the guy says, we're going to put you in charge and you're going to be our POC. And which was very challenging because it meant a whole mindset change because the experience I had born up down here in 45, 20 years prior to that was entirely different than having a way that you dealt with people, white people down here was totally different than what they would ask me to do in Chicago in 1965. But I was able to adjust and perform my duties and got through it well. And it actually, I guess, helped me grow up a lot of ways too, because it altered my frame of mind and thinking and how I dealt with situations and challenges. So it was another growth period, I guess. And so I was in the Navy 4 years, a machinist and engineer. I was fortunate enough to get my schooling after boot camp. So I walked across the area about 100 yards into the area where they had the schooling facilities. So I got machinist mate schooling and was able to get about 6 months of machinist mate schooling, which allowed me to get my training in my billet. So I was able to, from there, go aboard ship with advanced training in my field. And I was able to advance to E5 in about 20 months, which is like equivalent to sergeant. And from that, it was pretty good selling because I was a person in between, not low person on the totem pole. So I was able to sort of be in the flow of in charge as opposed to the person that gets a lot of crap thrown on them, right. So forth. And got a lot of traveling done all over the world in a lot of areas. And I did my 3 tours in Vietnam, but fortunately I'm still here with a lot of history and memories that were not all bad. A lot of them were very fun and entertaining and growth-filled and exciting, and got to see a lot of different cultures, peoples, and experiences.
Yeah. So let's go back when you were here in Jones County. I think you said you left when you were about 15.
Moved. I stayed with my grandparents down in Jacksonville for about 10 months while my parents got us settled in Boston. And from there, I went up to Boston and went to school there.
Now, what kind of things, you obviously helped a lot with
farming.
But what are some other things maybe you did and went home on the weekends, or if you had slow time?
Or down here?
Yeah, down here. What kind of things did y'all do?
It was mostly work. As I say, between the 3 of us, we did basically 3 farms. So I didn't have a lot of time for fun and pleasure. So I didn't get to play any real sports, anything, because as an only child, I worked from the fields to the kitchen in terms of learning to cook, clean, all that kind of stuff, and perform a lot of duties because I think at 11 years old, my dad brought home another tractor and said, this one is for you. So since the age of 12, I was working and carrying almost the same kind of weight as he was because I grew up real fast. And so at 13, I stood head to head with my dad, weighed about 170, 75 pounds, and could grab a 200-pound bag of fertilizer just like he would, put in the distributed tractor. So I had developed a real powerful body, strong, in terms of growing up very fast and maturing very quickly with that, so forth.
Was that common? I assume it wasn't very common to be an only child in that time, or?
No, I was kind of an oddball with that. Not a whole lot of people were only children.
Yeah.
So.
Now, when you went up to Boston, what kind of things was there to do up there?
Well, Boston was a different story. I started meeting people, and they found me interesting. I first had a very self-conscious attitude because, as I say, I went from being a country bumpkin to sophisticated Boston. So one day I remember at school I was talking to some people, and all of a sudden I'm noticing there's a whole circle of people around me, and I'm like getting very, very, self-conscious, like what's going on? And this little girl said, "We just love the way you talk." I said, "Oh." So then I really
Yeah.
so I guess after a couple of months, found out I was the most popular guy in school. So it was one of those funny things where I was selected from there to go to Boston English, which was the second high school in Boston. So it was, and I worked part-time after school. First place was a laundry thing that my cousin got me a job at, and then I got to work at Gilchrist, one of the big department stores downtown Boston, and which was very good because a lot of people from all various things, a lot of college students there and so forth, were there working and so forth, and so I got to meet a lot of people there and so forth. And since I had grown up so fast, I was able to, at 16 and 17, hang out and get served at clubs and date seniors and juniors in college. So I was having big time. And so since I grew up so fast, my parents sort of, and my mom was 16 when she got pregnant. So I was kind of like another part of the family. I was like the one that they sort of, the third opinion in the family. And I think I want to call it old soul as well. So sometimes they valued my opinion as much as theirs and so forth. So that was another thing that was unique about me in terms of growing up. So I was able to go and come as I please and experience all kind of things. If I wanted to smoke or drink, I could do that, but found out it wasn't for me. And maybe that was one of the reasons why I never did it.
Yeah.
So to the extent that a lot of people get hooked into the things that,
Right.
that they can't do, they want to do. So Boston was a unique experience. And then I went into the Navy 4 years. I was home based out of Pearl Harbor. My first ship, both ships actually operate out of Pearl Harbor and operate in the area of the Orient and Vietnam. And my first ship did 2 campaigns. Um, as you see here, it has the flags here and stars and the places of travel, explorations, and tours, so forth.
And how many people were on that ship?
Probably about, I guess maybe 350, 400, because as you see, this was a special kind of ship. We carried SEAL, Seabees, special operations, different sound boats, different kind of operating boats, sometimes a helicopter for special forces that went in various places, set up stations for the guys to do operations and so forth. So there was a lot of different people, including SEAL, Seabees, special forces, and other people that were there in and out, in addition to the actually sort of crew of the ship. So I guess there was actually around maybe 300 or 400 somewhere in that time frame, off and on.
So what was your job on the ship?
I was a machinist main engineer. My job was main propulsion, which was the operation of the machinery. That was my class from boot camp that gave me my billet rate. So I brought some pictures.
If I'm looking at this right, you look like the only African American in that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Out of 102 guys in boot camp, there were just 2 of us there, and so the other classes, I was the only one there in a lot of places, a lot of times. And in my barracks, in my area where I slept and operated on the ship, I was the only black guy there as well. So it was a lot of being the only in a lot of different areas. I was looking for, actually, some of them, I have pictures of what I was actually doing here somewhere if I can find them. That's the earliest one I can find of me. Yeah.
How old were you in that picture?
Probably about 5,
Okay.
3 or 4, 5, somewhere in that time frame.
What the heck?
That's that's what I was doing. That's operating machinery. I was in charge of the forward engine on my first ship, which was turbo electric. So my job was to operate the turbines and machinery and valves and pumps and things that were the main proportion. And my second ship, I was operate the auxiliary engine room. Got some pictures of on board, some various things, and There's some of the crew. You can just sort of look through what you're in there, I guess. Duties and various things. Mail. This is Vietnam, Liberty Port. That's overlooking Hong Kong, Tokyo, Japan. Some friends in Pearl Harbor. Right, I got with another picture from Tokyo. This is some of the Hawaiian Islands I used to visit with some friends. Another Vietnam lady friend.
Now, when you were in,
That's Hong Kong.
oh wow,
Another friend of mine in Vietnam was hanging out together.
yeah.
And that's the other operation there, showing the operation of the main turbine.
Now, when you lived here, did y'all have running water, electricity, or?
No.
Yeah.
This is the 50s, so we didn't have electricity. The first place we stayed until I think the house that my grandparents lived out on the main road, because the house, the Andrews farm, was about almost a half a mile back up in the woods, and so there was no electricity out there.
Yeah.
For the time, for the most part. So everything was pumps and outhouse toilets and things like that as well. So again, this is like 40s and 50s. So
Yeah.
it goes back.
I didn't realize until a few years ago that my mom was born in '55 and she did not have running water.
Yeah.
Her house since I think she was 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you don't think about the fact, they used to not have, everybody had outhouses, but you don't think about the fact that you know people that had, that grew up like that.
Yeah, I've experienced it. This is some going into Vietnam, one of the operations. That's Tokyo when they were building the Olympic stadiums back in 1967. I was there. I got to see that going on.
Now tell me a little bit about as far as like, now we can take pictures with our phones and everybody's got a camera in their pocket. We can delete any bad pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us a little bit about kind of maybe how those pictures were taken, or kind of what the process was for people who maybe don't remember or didn't grow up in those times.
Polaroids were the new invention back in our time. They were able to give you like snapshots and you pull out. You remember those?
Yeah, we had a Polaroid when I was growing up.
And then I think when I went to Africa, I had a small camera and a Polaroid because I had pictures of because I've been to Africa twice. First time I went in 1973. I took about 3 weeks and went east and west. And I had pictures of that as well because that was a unique adventure and story because I got to see Africa, the homeland, for the first time. Mm-hmm. Then I went back in 1987 with a group of spiritual people and basically Kampala and Uganda, stopped off in Kenya first. But my first trip in 1973 was right after they made the movie Shaft in Kenya. Yeah. So when I got to Kenya, they thought I was a Hollywood star coming in, so I got all the royal funding treatment and big time fun there in 1973. And I went from Kenya to Ethiopia. I got to dine with the royal family. I met one of the emperor's grandchildren, his two of his granddaughters, and one of his grandsons, and we formed a friendship. So I got to dine at the palace in Ethiopia. Oh, wow. Got pictures of the museum, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I brought pictures because the stuff I've experienced in life sounds like it could be like a lot of BS. Right. That's why I say I brought my receipts that I can show you from passports to, all kind of stuff. It's actually here.
So tell me a little bit about the palace in Ethiopia. What is?
Let's see. Did I bring my glasses in? Hopefully.
Now, did they speak English, or did you have to have?
Yeah, they spoke English. the ladies that I met, they were college students.
Okay.
So, and they spoke English. Kenya spoke English, so everybody spoke probably dual languages. So I didn't have a problem with languages there at all. The palace was phenomenal. I had dined there with the grandchildren and some of the other relatives, and it was like a 5-course meal. I mean, it was fantastic. I felt like I was part of the royal. As a matter of fact, a couple of the emperors looked like my father's father. I found another funny correlation. So I said, maybe that's why I got such good treatment, because it was maybe hooking in with the ancestors from way, way back when, because most people don't have those kind of experiences, and so forth.
That's right.
But I was treated fantastically well.
And how long were you in Ethiopia for?
About 5 days.
Okay. So you made fast friends and
Yeah.
moved on up the ladder pretty quick.
Yeah, I guess one of my good blessings is that I'm a friendly son of friend. Oh, here we go. Those are some of the Ethiopian people I met. This emperor here looks almost like my dad's father.
Okay. Now, did you know your dad's father? Or?
Oh yeah,
okay.
I got to stay with him for a while when I was a kid.
That's right. I remember you told me.
And that's Haile Selassie, the emperor of Ethiopia, up until probably about 20-some years ago. That's another picture from the palace.
Now, was that the actual throne he would sit on when he was doing his business?
Yep.
His work or whatever?
Mm-hmm. And this is some of the temples and places around there. Some of the other emperors. I mean, I have been blessed to experience a lot of things that a lot of people of my color have not even begun to imagine.
You've experienced a lot of stuff people of any color couldn't even imagine. This is amazing. Well, that's part of the reason we're doing these, Mr. James, is because there's people in this county that have experienced amazing things, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And have stories to tell, but nobody's ever asked them about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lady that I met in Nigeria that looked out for me and got my hotel accommodations and everything for me, because I was having problems finding a hotel when I got to Nigeria that first time. She and her brother took me like a long-lost relative and looked out for me.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. So I went from Ethiopia to Nigeria. Yeah. I went from Ethiopia to Nigeria, and one of my neighbors, his uncle lived in Enugu, up country from Nigeria. So I went up and stayed with them for about 3 days at the Presidential Hotel. And I got treated as royalty there, because when I got to Enugu, it was like long lost relatives coming home. And I had fantastic luck at the casino at the hotel. I won like $500 or $600 playing roulette.
Yeah.
So that helped pay for my trip and everything. And some of the other ladies from Nigeria there.
Yeah, you showed me those.
Okay, you saw this. And yep. So from there, I went to Liberia, because my roommate at the time, one of the roommates, his family was a royal family in Liberia.
Okay.
So I got to meet them, hang out, and have big fun there. And from Liberia, I went over to Sierra Leone. And the neighbor from Sierra Leone, his sister and mother lived there, so I got to stay with them and have fun, because his sister and I got along very well. Okay. It's a nice young lady. And so from Liberia, I went to Ghana. Now, Ghana was the country I almost moved to.
Okay. Ghana
was like coming home. I mean, I met the Moses, and I stayed with them for about 5 days, then at the hotel for another 3 or 4 days. But the Guyanese people were fantastic. I was doing some import and exporting business at the time, and had I had my financial stuff and sufficiently financial stable, I would probably move to Ghana in 1973. That's how wonderful I felt in Ghana. I mean, it was fantastic. But I said, well, I can go back and come back if things don't work out, because I didn't have enough capital, I thought, to set myself up to,
Yeah,
be in a whole nother country at the time.
absolutely.
So I went from Ghana to Senegal. Yeah, Senegal. Then I came from Senegal back to New York, back to London, back into New York from there. So it was like, I think I hit like 5 or 6 different countries in different parts at the time. I wanted to go to Abidjan, but they were having a big problem at the time, and so I bypassed that, and also Uganda also bypassed. But in 1987, I was involved with a spiritual group called Sirolanda that was home based out of Uganda. So I made a trip to Uganda in 1987 for about 4 weeks, I guess, because I took solar energy panels and things over to share with them solar energy things, and because that was one of my businesses at the time, also at the time. But didn't work out with the folks, so I came back and so forth. But it was interesting. Uganda, I have pictures of Uganda, also a very beautiful country.
And when you were traveling around Africa
This is Uganda.
in the 70s, was it a lot of bus travel, train?
What was the question again?
When you were traveling around Africa around
1973?
in 73, did you travel did you fly, or did you train or bus or
I flew, and then it was taxis, and
Okay.
then it was like, people sort of picking you up and so forth from there.
Right.
There's some of the people, the Uganda pictures there. They had a sort of a delegation of folks coming from New York City, from the United States, that did some things in Uganda there at the time.
And this is in the 80s?
1987. Oh, girlfriend of mine won all expense paid trips to Rome in 1972. So she invited me along, all expense paid trips for 3-day weekend.
Wow, yeah.
So we got this party and have big fun in Rome for about 3 days on a weekend there.
And how did she manage to win an all expense paid trip to Rome?
I think she was involved with a company at the time that she won the contest.
Okay, with a company.
And called me and invited me to come along, which I said, yes.
Twist my arm.
Those are some of the pictures from the Rome trip. What that guy there is a DJ at the club we were hanging out at that particular night. I think this was the capital in Uganda. In Kenya. Ghana at the time. Either the hotel or something like that. One of the major places I was staying at in Ghana at the time. Airport flying in. This is the Ghana airport, and the taxi driver drive me to the hotel from the time I remember that from way back. The airplane. I started looking through this. It's a good thing I have these pictures, because a lot of this stuff I had forgotten.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that after 80 years, a whole lot of stuff you start to slip.
That's exactly right. Okay, so what year did you get out of the Navy?
1969.
1969.
Yeah.
And now, if I remember correctly, you did some modeling.
Yep. That's the next step. When I got out of the Navy, let's glass of those, and I was at this walking by this store on 25 Stockton Street in San Francisco. The manager comes out, sees me looking at the suits in the window, and sells me 2 suits and a job at the same time. I have 30 days left to do in the Navy. So this is some early, that's in front of the store.
Okay.
That's 1969 in front of the store. I think I have some of the store pictures here too. So I started working there part-time, and after the second week, with all my sea stories and adventures, I was a top salesman for the whole West Coast division.
Oh, wow.
So I moved up the chain, and I advanced to assistant manager in like about 3 months. So the merchandise manager comes out from New York City, Mr. Howard Moss, and says, you know, we like what you're doing. We think you got a great future with us. Stick with us. So I said, okay. So I was there, and then I got a promotion. Yeah, this is the store in San Francisco. I think that's the store in San Francisco. I got some of the Rome in the store. That was I think that's the store in San Francisco, because they got the Rome store here as well. Did some shopping because I love clothes, and so I did a lot of shopping in Rome too.
The head of merchandising said he thought you had a future with him.
Yeah.
He liked what you're doing.
So in 1971, the earthquake threat became so prominent out there in California. We're talking about it and television programs on it.
Right.
And then I got a call from my cousin who said that she had a reading, and one of her dear friends going to be lost in a California tragedy in the very near future. And I was the only one she had out there. And I went to work that Monday morning, and the guy at the store, his mom was supposed to be psychic. And he was head of security. He said his mom was saying similar things about earthquake. San Francisco was going to have some serious problems. So I said, I didn't survive 3 tours in Vietnam, got an earthquake. So I said, I'm giving you guys 2 weeks notice. I'm getting the heck out of here, going back east. So I go back east, visit my parents, because when I got out, I hadn't even come home. My parents flew out from Boston to visit me while I was working, because I started working immediately. Flew out to San Francisco for the first time and visited me out there. And then when I moved back to from away from California, I went to see parents and things in Boston and down to DC, Carolina, and I was going to go down to Atlanta and then go to Colorado, because when I was in Hawaii, I met such fantastic ladies from Colorado. I said, I got to go check out this place called Colorado, because I had about 3 or 4 nice ladies friends that were from Colorado.
Right.
So I get to Atlanta, and this is 1971. I got my GTO McAuliffe California tags on it, and they said, "Oh, Hollywood, you from Hollywood?" Nah, I'm not. Oh, come on, you can tell us, because this is again after that movie Shaft and all that kind of stuff was going on and so forth. And so I got a treat to roll down to Atlanta. Instead of staying 2 or 3 days in Atlanta and going on to Colorado, I wound up staying in Atlanta almost 3 weeks, because it was such fun going on. The underground was going on down at the time, so this was the party place in the United States at the time. So I was supposed to get a job in Atlanta with this shoe company, but it didn't come through. So I said, well, maybe it's a sign I'm supposed to go back to New York. Oh, I forgot to say, when I got to New York, I went over to see Mr. Moss, the Howard merchandising manager. I said, Mr. Moss, I think I'd like to be a buyer, because I could get to buy, travel, and visit all the stores. So I had my speech already, given this big presentation. And I said, well, he said, when do you want to start? I said, I didn't give you my speech yet. I don't know. No, what? When do you want to start? I said, well, about 2 weeks, I'm going to visit some relatives down south and so forth, and then come back. So, all right, come back, see me in 2 weeks. So that's why I say when I got down to Atlanta, I was so enthralled with the ladies down there that I almost didn't come back to New York at all. But when I came back, I started working at Howard Ripley and Foreman and Clark there in Brooklyn as a buyer, a merchandise assistant buyer, and I got to travel. Had about 12 stores from various states around Chicago, Washington, Florida, Boston, and some of the other Midwest states that had some of the high fashion stores, because this is the time when the Superfly fashion thing was really big, and I was into fashion, so I got to experience some of that as almost about a year, and then I went to work with a couple of guys that had 2 stores, black guys, fashion stores in New York, because it didn't pan out to the way I thought and with the Howard company. So I started working with the guys Carl and at Store Le Mans. And working at the stores in Le Mans is where I met the travel agent that hooked up my trip to Africa.
Okay.
I was walking in one day and I was talking about going to Africa, and he said, well, if you want to go out, I'll hook it up for you. And he was able to hook up a thing that where I could go almost like a travel consultant and actually stay at most of the hotels, either nothing or very low cost, and get to do so. And that's how I got my first trip to Africa.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so after I came back, I worked those guys, and then I started one of my I had a resident buying service where I actually was buying merchandise for about 5 stores around the country. And then one of my stores, that guy in Harlem, Mr. and Mrs. Thread, said, he wanted me to run his business entirely. So I said, okay. I sort of gave up my part of my resident buying service and took over his store and ran it completely as Mr. and Mrs. Threads there in Harlem for about a year before going downtown. I had some pictures of this store there because that was another place that there. Yeah, I don't see them now. But at any rate, I ran his business for a couple of years, and it wasn't going as fast as I thought it should. This was up in Harlem on 123rd Street, Lenox Avenue. So I went downtown on Lexington Avenue and 45th Street and was working at the store down there, fashion store in Lexington Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. And one day this guy came in from Grace DeMarco Modeling Agency, said, your look could make you some money. And I said, you should give me a call. So I said, well, I'm already 33 if I'm ever going to do this modeling thing, because this was the first attempt that I had at modeling when I was in San Francisco, because by being the assistant manager, they had me going and carrying, overseeing the clothing that they lease or let the people use for modeling shows. And there are various.
Oh, there's more than just that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a first little portfolio thing there.
Oh, I like that one.
So you see the fashion. This is like the 70s. Matter of fact, that's 1969, 70, when fashion Superfly was the main thing.
I like that fur coat.
Yeah. Missed that one. That's some of the tours and things that my first ship went through, and activities and things for Loomis, what we call the Navy book. Also, flashing back to the Navy, these have, from the opening thing to the various training sessions and operations and things from boot camp, also pictures of that as well. To the last stages of our, sort of go in order from the first one I showed you there, because it's only about, this is our company.
Yeah.
Here, and then you see the various training classes and things, some of them.
Oh, yeah.
Activities, see me drilling them, doing different things.
Yeah.
And then the last one, next one over is probably graduation. Yeah, that's graduation. So that was the end of the portion.
You leading them?
Yeah.
Our own James Dillahunt leading the drill there.
Okay.
So you start modeling.
So I started modeling, and after a few months, I started. That's my portfolio there, from way back. That's the cover of Ebony 1979. They thought I had a little sex appeal.
Yeah. Now you were 33 at this point, or
Yeah, I
older?
started modeling in well, actually, this is probably 40, getting close to 40,
Okay.
because this is 1979.
Oh yeah.
I was born 45, so 20,
34.
34.
Picture of it.
Did a bunch of ads and various things and some modeling and so forth on.
Southern Comfort.
Yeah.
So what kind of brands did you said you like fashion, but a lot of these don't look like fashion brands necessarily.
No, the most of my modeling was actually, when I got to New York, was into the area of products, commercials, cigarettes, liquors, and various things. Like this is boots. That was a GQ shot from GQ magazine. If you remember GQ fashion magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of the time they use my look for advertising cigarettes and liquor was a big thing in that time frame.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because most of them you see cigarette ads and things of that nature,
Yeah,
or liquor.
Ladies, you do have taste. Of course, I have brunettes. And how long would a shoot like this take? I mean, obviously, this is, let's say, like this right here. This is one
sometimes what you do, they have a lot of different ideas, so they'll do various scenes that might be sometimes 2 or 3 hours.
Gotcha.
Now those Newport cigarette ads, the first ads I did where it had the beard, we did shooting for 2 straight days, went upstate, and they must have did 6 or 7 different billboards around the country, because my cousins say they used to see them all over the place, from down here, various other places. The first ads I did was Newport cigarette, and I had a full beard.
All right. Now, do they recommend you cutting the beard off, or is that just something that you?
No, I found out that actually my look was more commercial and sellable and easier to get jobs once I took the beard off.
Yeah.
Because that's when my career really took off, and I took the beard off. Because those like Macy's and Sears, and various.
Stay warm and style without the overstuffed look.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all had some style for sure. There's some liquid hair relaxer.
Yeah. Shaving system that was supposed to be big. We had a special kind of shaver for designed for black skin, because it was supposed to prevent the bumps things. But it didn't take off and do that well, because I had commercials I thought was going to bring some big money, but it didn't really materialize. I did a Miller Beer commercial, a couple other commercials. I got to work on the doctors as Dr. Stevens for a couple of days. Did a number of various scenes on All My Children, the soap operas.
Okay, so
as
you were
did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Huh?
Yeah.
You are a little giant suit.
Couple of movies. I got to work with Sidney Poitier on one of his movies.
Oh wow.
Various other things.
Back when a sweatsuit was $9.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
always-
that was part of the Newport shoot there. We went upstate and did those.
Uh-huh. Got that. And some cookies.
Yeah, that was a nice set because the people had a great time and got good food.
Oh,
See that? That's just
Yeah.
one billboard out of that about 2 day shooting that we
they
did.
shoot.
Used to have those big billboards around the country back in those days.
Yeah.
That's another one from that
Oh,
same
yeah.
shooting.
Same shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And this is a calendar from
Okay.
1983 for. There's 4 seasons there. I was bartending and got to go to the studio after work until about 4 o'clock that morning
Uh-huh.
with 3 hours of sleep. And I did the shooting with those 4 ladies with 4 hours of sleep
Ooh,
for the whole session.
you look pretty rested there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's this product? Stay soft Pro?
Hair product.
Okay, hair product. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, are they still business or you don't know?
I don't know.
Might spike their sales here.
Stay flow. I
Might
don't
spike
know.
the sales here if you're advertising, tell them you need some
Yeah.
more money.
Because, down here you don't get the same products as you did in New York City and other places like
That's
Chicago and places.
Yeah. Especially back then. Nowadays you can get any product anywhere. But
Yeah.
Back then they were more regionalized, I guess.
And that's this is from the Ford book,
Okay.
Ford Modeling Agency, which is like the
Okay.
second largest popular agency, probably in New York City and California.
So if you were looking for models, you'd get this book right here.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they'd hire you right out of this book.
Uh-huh.
'Cause
They
when I
look
went
through and find you.
In 1980, they hired me to do a job in London. I worked 45 minutes. I got paid $3,000. I got first class trip, 3 days at the Kingston Wellington Hotel, downtown London.
Yeah.
And I worked in the studio 45 minutes.
Yeah.
First class airfare, trip, everything,
Uh-huh.
So it was
There's a
like a
whole
paid
lot of-
vacation.
Whole lot of just different models you could
Yeah.
flip through and pick out who you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Ford. Is that the same Ford family that has the pickup trucks and? The
No,
cars, or
Ford Modeling Agency was a different,
different group?
yeah, it was modeling. So I also used to do motivational self-healing seminars and things.
Okay.
Know thyself from my apartment, as well as some of the places, some of the
James Dillon.
schools around New York.
Now, out of all the
That's
things,
Vassar College, where I used to did some of
okay.
the programs and things. They'd hire me to do things, and that was my bio that covers.
Okay. So this is what they read, or this is what you send out to them? Say, hey, this is the kind of work thing we're talking about.
Combination of that, as well as a lot of times when if you're looking for work or whatever, you have your bio. People want to see your bio. They're going to hire you for something and so forth. I took these seminars as far as Jamaica, West Indies,
Okay.
Kingston, and Montego Bay in 1994, a couple of times, which was big fun.
Now, of all the things you've done in your life, what do you think was the most enjoyable?
Oh, wow. I was saying last year that I've been living 79 years practicing, so now I'm ready to live. So I'm ready for the next chapter.
I understand.
For better. But the modeling stuff was probably most egotistical and jarring because when I was modeling commercial, doing soap operas and things, and bartending in New York City, I could select who I wanted to date, take home, just like that. Because I'd have sometimes 3 or 4 ads in Ebony, Jet, and then 1 or 2 commercials on, and work on soap operas. And I was bartending at one of the most popular places, nightclubs there in New York City.
Right.
And bartenders themselves are like,
Pretty popular.
yeah. So from
They
this is,
recognize you.
yeah, this was like 1977, 78. at the height of my modeling profession, I was working at the cellar. And we'd have people like the Commodore, Stevie Wonder would be hanging out there. Um, Platinum Hook was operated out of there. Keith Sweat got his start there.
Okay.
The guy Keith Sweat, Tainer, Johnny Kemp, Vanessa Bell and I worked together, so I dated her for a while. She was a big time actress. I see her in a whole lot of movies in Hollywood. I dated Phyllis Hyman, one of the famous singers back at the time. I was on one of Melvin Moore's videos for, it's actually on my phone still. Where's my phone? Kind of discombobulated here.
Got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, as I said, I didn't know what was irrelevant, and I like to have the receipts.
Be prepared, that's right. Now, when you were shooting, while you're looking for your phone, when you were shooting soap operas and things like that, did you do that in New York, or you had to go to California to shoot those?
No, New York. New York was most of the children, all my children, the doctors. A lot of the Guiding Light was out of New York City. Quite a number of the soap operas were filmed right there in New York City, because at the time it was rival in California for a lot of things. And actually, sometimes something even more production was out of New York City. Major movies, a lot of them were out in California. But things like modeling and stuff like that and promotional advertising, I think were mostly New York City in terms of that venue.
Too many callers.
Hmm?
Too many calls your phone.
Might work. Ah, I found it. I'm getting used to this new technology. It's amazing. Because kids now have these things, and back in our time, we didn't even have hardly the telephone.
That's right.
To the houses, most of them.
Had a little notebook you carried with you to write stuff down with.
Yep. I have appointment books by the Yum Yum where we kept records of everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, YouTube here. Find the right one here.
Now, when you were on ships in the Navy, how often were you on the, like, how long would you be on the ship in a row versus being able to go into port or get off and actually touch dry land?
Actually, operation usually be like 5 to 6 months
Okay.
on station, 8 months at the max usually, and then come back into port operations. So we spend 3 or 4 months in port, and then anywhere from 5 to 6 months for the average on station.
On
Like
station.
we operated out of various places, did various things as you saw in the book in terms of.
Yeah.
But the main place that my ship was operating was the Vietnam area. Both ships actually, because my first ship, that Tanner, was actually called Oceanographic Survey.
Okay.
But it was actually a spy ship.
Yeah.
Similar to the Pueblo, only we carried special forces that made maps, set up stations, operations, and had the special boats and equipments that went from water to land and operated in jungles and things, and able to set up communication stations and so forth. And my second ship was a super tanker, USS Kawishiri, that carried fuel to the line, that supplied fuel for various vessels and
Gotcha.
the smaller ships.
Uh-huh. Now, were any of the ships you were on actually attacked, or?
Only scared once,
Okay.
once or twice in the area, and we thought we were being attacked, and they thought they were trying to set mines around the ship, but
Okay.
we didn't. Went to general quarters a couple of times, but we didn't actually have any direct experience of for sure that we were
Gotcha.
under attack. Why come I'm not finding thing here now?
Now you're sitting, for anybody can see behind you, this is the picture of the mill pond. Do you remember the mill?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I remember when they made grounded
Yeah, I was
meal,
gonna ask if you
cornbread.
something else corn up there?
Yeah. Back in the day, my grandfather and I would ride over on the horse and cart
Yeah.
with corn and have it ground up for the meal. Because I was born in '45, and so I have
Right.
memories of all kind of stuff. To get
Yeah.
to go grocery shopping, church on the wheel and cart,
Uh-huh.
wagon roof, the mules and stuff. So I have seen some history changes since I came on the scene. If I wasn't looking for this thing, it already popped up.
They showed it to you 3 times already.
Yeah. Okay.
What would you say has been the biggest invention since you've been on this earth for the last 80 years?
Probably the internet and all the computer communication possibilities and technology that goes with that, because with that technology, I can learn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's information that's available now that you used to have to go to institutions or special places to get that knowledge, and now you can just tune in onto the internet and get it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And it's like mind-boggling, the information that's available now on these things in my computer laptops and things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is it. Let's see. I'm getting oh, here it is. I'm getting bombarded with commercials now on YouTube more and more. It's making it so difficult to tune into stuff.
There's advertisements.
When the family group chat wants a front row seat.
Oh yeah. Now this is a music video?
Yeah, Melbourne Moore's video, Keep a Man Satisfied.
Now is that you on that couch?
No, it's not me on the couch. That was me in the opening scene when I was out in the woods, and I'm still chopping wood, my axe, because I burn wood with my winter heat,
Okay, yeah.
I was joking to somebody about that, except I have a couple of chainsaws.
Uh-huh. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'll put it over here this time.
So, out of all the places you've lived in the United States, which is your favorite for that time frame? Obviously, it's the places you may have lived in differently or now or whatever, but.
I think New York City, for the most part, up until 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
it was. I went for 1 year, wound up staying 31 years. I got there in 1971 and moved down here in 2002 to help my parents out. They were getting up in age, and so I moved down in 2002, June of 2002. But New York was good to me. I got to see and experience a lot of things in New York City. I mean, it's mind-boggling what's available in New York City.
I can only imagine.
And I was right in the middle of it. My first place I stayed was Park West Village, which is right in the middle of the island. And then from there, I was 96 in Columbus, a couple of blocks up, and then 95th in Columbus. And then my last place was at 96 and 95th in Amsterdam, which was 1 block over, which is between Central Park and the river and so forth. So it was a real nice area. And I had fortunate to have nice place that I got to stay at and so forth. So
All right, Mr. Allen, I guess let's start off with telling us a little bit about when you were born, and is this, I think you were telling me this is where you were born, this is your home place.
Right. Yes, sir. Yeah, I was born in 1940, and let's see, I was born and raised next door, right here, and of course the farm was 120 acres, and I was raised on the farm, learning how to do the farming, and took over the managing farm pretty quick because my daddy was a builder, and so I had to look out for things here
While he was off.
right.
Gotcha. Now, Miss Jean, when were you? I'm not gonna ask you when you were born, but where were you raised around here, or were you raised in?
I don't mind telling you when I was
Okay.
born. I was born in 1946. Alan and I got married January 1965 on January the 16th. And we have 3 daughters, Marianne, April, and Holly. And they gave us a lot of joy and challenges at times, but it was all so good. It was wonderful. We moved, Alan said, how about we just move to Pollocksville? And I was living in Raleigh
Okay.
and met Alan because he was working with the builder there. And I said, well, maybe we can just go visit. And so we came, met his family, and I loved them immediately. And I was not really sure whether or not I could adjust to living up here because at nighttime it was so dark, there were no street lights up here. I remember putting my hand in front of my face and doing that way, and I couldn't see my hand, and I thought, man, this is dark up here.
This is in the country.
We are really in the country. But we eventually moved here, and we made this home. We've lived here most of our marriage. We
Yeah.
had our babies here. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So you went to Jones County Schools. Was the high school? It's
I did.
obviously been torn down since then, but
It was Jones Central at the time,
okay.
and I graduated in 1961.
1961.
Yeah.
And then you came back and were working on the farm.
Came back, well, I went into service,
Okay.
and after I got out of service, I worked with a builder in doing the drafting for a builder in Raleigh. And then I came back to Jones County and went to work with Carolina Telephone
Okay.
30 years ago. I retired from Carolina
Oh wow.
Telephone,
Okay.
and I've been in business for myself in AB's gravel driveways here in Jones County for the last 30 years.
For the last 30 years. Okay. So tell me some things. Obviously, you said there were no street lights. So when I was growing up, we had to come home when the street lights came on. So I guess, Mr. Allen, tell us a little bit about what kind of things there were to do for a 10, 12, 14-year-old boy growing up in Pollocksville.
That's a good question because basically what you had to do is feed the mules, make sure they had at least a dozen ears of corn because I had to work them in the daytime. But what I enjoyed is hooking the mules on the weekend, and we had a pony, we'd hook him up to the tobacco trucks. The road out here in front of the house was not even paved. It was just a dirt road then. We didn't have water. We didn't have sewer. We didn't have lights. So I remember that when our house was wired for lights. That was probably in 1943. Something like that.
Gotcha.
But we had a good time. We learned early on from my daddy that work can be a pleasure, so learn how to have fun while you're working.
Now, what kind of things did y'all raise on the farm? Now, you said you had some mules to work with, but what other kind of animals or crops or?
We had 2 mules and a pony, and we would use all 3 of them working in the fields, and we finally got a tractor at about 1950, I guess it was, a used tractor, and we used it for 2 or 3 years, and then we got a new tractor. So well, we were stepping up in the world.
Now, did y'all raise any animals as far as to eat?
We raised cows and we raised hogs as well, and we would butcher a hog every year, dig a hole in the ground and put a vat over it and heat up the water and scald them and dress the pigs right here and butcher them. And we had a smokehouse. We would smoke the meat. You couldn't smoke the beef, but the hogs you could smoke the meat and use it.
Uh-huh.
So we survived.
Yeah, sounds
So-
like it.
We survived in first class.
Now, did y'all fish a lot of the Trent River's right here? Did y'all fish any or take any wild game? Did that have any bearing on your?
Oh yes, well we would hunt when we were not farming and building, and then when hunting season come in, we'd go hunting, and one of our favorite places to go was Catfish Lake, which is about 6 miles from here off the end of the road. You had to walk through there. There was no way to get to it except to walk. But we'd go in and stay 2 or 3, 4 days at a time, and we would hunt and eat off the fatted land. We'd fish, cook fish, and would venison or duck hunting.
Uh-huh.
We'd do it all, and that was our vacationing.
Gotcha.
So, Thelma and Hazel, my 2 sisters, came along. They were not too crazy about going to the lake, but they liked to go in the summertime. We'd carry watermelons down and cut watermelons. I like that.
Oh.
Swimming.
That's right. Now, did y'all raise watermelons or what
We
kind of
did.
crops did y'all raise?
Yeah, we raised some watermelons, and of course, primarily it was tobacco, corn, and beans. We had to raise the corn for the horses, and we baled a little hay to feed the cows and the mules and the pony, and to feed them. So we raised our feed, and we would also feed ourselves off the farm.
Uh-huh. Had a big garden, I assume?
Had a big garden. Always got to have a garden. We'd can too. We would can, beans and okra and things like that, and tomatoes. Just we'd put it up for the winter, so we'd have something to eat in the winter too.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
All right, Miss Jean, where'd you grow up at?
I lived in Sampson County,
Okay.
and myself and my sister and 2 brothers eventually were moved to Raleigh, and we grew up there, went to school there. I graduated from Broughton High School
Okay.
and Hardbarger Business College, and that's when I met Alan. We decided within a year of that we decided we
So
wanted.
you said within a year, y'all decided to get married.
We did, and we got married in Raleigh, and moved to Pollocksville. And when we were living in Pollocksville, I wanted to have a job, so I got a job. I worked with the town of Pollocksville, and at that time, Obie O'Brien was the mayor.
Okay.
And when he decided to step down, Jay Bender was our mayor, so I worked with him.
Okay.
And I also went back to school so I could get my degree in accounting. And my full-time job after I finished at school was in Newbern.
Okay.
I worked with a CPA firm there. And all this time that Alan and I were working, we have 3 daughters that were continuing to grow, and
Uh-huh.
were involved in different activities, and kept our lives really busy and stretched out. But one of the things that I would like to share about the farming, I knew very little about farming. I just remembered when I'd go visit my aunt, she would never let me go to the barn where they
Okay.
were working on tobacco and things like that. She was afraid that something would happen to me, but I was so curious. But I did eventually learn something about farming, because when we started with the tobacco farm, Alan took me out and showed me how to drive the tractor. And then he eventually said, I want you to, when you go down the middle road here, just make a nice wide turn. And I remember crying because I ran over some of the tobacco
Oh.
that he had planted, but eventually got to be pretty good at doing that, and learned to appreciate the value of that because we both worked, and that was an additional income to our home. And when it was time to go to market, I had one baby in diapers, and I had 2 girls that went with me in the truck when I hauled the tobacco all the way to Williamston
Oh, wow.
and back. And the only thing I remember that was so funny about that, not funny at the time, but when I think about it, it's pretty funny. They said, "Oh, here she comes. She's bringing that horse trailer," and they said, "Watch out, guys, when you start unloading." Said the horses are going to be rolling out.
Oh, no.
I was so embarrassed, but anyway, there were some fun times, you know, in farming. It's hard work. I did cook for the help because Grandmama, Alan's mother, did that for the helpers. And I thought, well, if she can do that, so I think I'll try it and see how that works. And it worked really well. So we both, I think, just worked together to make whatever we needed to do in the tobacco business. He knew that I needed all the training, but I was a fast learner.
Right.
His oldest sister taught me how to loop tobacco. So I have no regrets about all of that. I'm just grateful that I had that experience. So
We both had real jobs, public jobs,
yeah,
but we did the farming on Fridays and Saturdays just to make extra income so we could build a house, pay for it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that worked out real well.
So the tobacco, I was a little, because that's something a lot of people not struggle with, but you know, they have second jobs, they have something else they want to do on the side. So y'all, Friday and Saturday were the days
they
to
were work days.
do the tobacco.
Right. We take our vacation day on Friday to put in the
Gotcha.
tobacco.
Yeah,
Y'all had the stick bars, it sounds like.
we did.
Right, we had stick barns, but in 72, I believe it was, we went to bulk barns.
Okay.
Had a good friend that had bulk barns, and I asked him about it. And I said, "Well, you look kind of expensive on it." He said, "Well, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and sign the piece of paper. He'll see that you pay for it."
Yeah. Oh, man. And did you like the bulk barns better, or like what was the advantage of those as opposed to stick barns?
We'll use less labor with the bulk barns. So therefore we like that because we didn't have to spend as much for labor. We used the money we saved on the labor to make the payments on the bulk barns.
Yeah.
So that worked out pretty good. Liking it, I think one was as good as the other. Thing about with growing up, we would have to fire the traditional barn. Had to fire the furnace, so we would stay at the barn at night. And I remember sleeping on a tobacco truck, and Daddy would get roasting ear corn out of the field, and we'd throw it in the furnace, you know, and cook the corn and eat the corn for snacks while we were firing the tobacco barn. So, you know, it both had its advantages. Of course, that the old school versus the new mechanized way is way time moves on.
Right. I think the cost savings, currently in agriculture, just finding labor can be hard. So if you have less people you have to do a job, make sure you have them there. It's easier to find 1 or 2 people or 3 people than it is 5 or 6.
That's true.
And it's always nice when they have experience too, and it's not a training. But we have dealt with that too with friends that we had that they wanted their children to be involved, and we were always glad to be able to do that. The children enjoyed it too, our girls. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, they did a lot at home to help out. We all worked together as a family, and that made it work.
Now, how many acres of tobacco? You had the allotment system back then, I assume?
We had the allotment system, and the farm at the time only has about 3 acres of tobacco, but we rented tobacco in, so we were tending about 16 acres of tobacco, about 350 acres of corn and beans. Doing that just on the weekends.
Just on the weekends.
Well, there were nights that he was in the field tilling and with a tractor, and I would raise up the window in the bedroom so that I could hear the trapper, because he had already worked all day
Right.
and I knew what he was involved in at work, and he was generally a little bit tired when he got home. But he ate supper and then he would go out and do that. And I always loved to hear the tractor getting closer to the house because I knew I could go to sleep.
There you go. That's right. Then you knew you wouldn't have to worry about him as much.
That's
being out there
right.
just getting tired. All right. So what kind of things, you worked as a clerk in Pollocksville,
Town clerk.
town clerk.
hmm
Now what kind of job was that? What did that entail?
Well, you take care of all the water bills. I had to manually type the water bills after the meters were read. And the last year that I was working with the town of Pollocksville, that was being transferred to Trenton. As far as, we still did the water bills, but the system itself, we were
Okay.
hoping to eventually get that in the Pollocksville office. So
Gotcha.
there were some changes. I did the books, worked with customers, and the folks that work with the town would come in and check in, and if there was any information I need to give to them. We didn't have cell phones then.
Mhm.
That might be something that would be good to mention too. So it was either pop in, the town policeman, and the folks that were working on the streets and all of that, maintaining the water system. So it was, the responsibility was to be in the office, and customers could come in if they wanted to chat about their water bill,
Can
what
imagine
to
that was
do,
probably
and a lot of complaints,
Like a lot of
and that kind of thing. And we have to sit down and talk to them about what the difference is.
yeah.
So it was a challenging job at times, but I thoroughly enjoyed it because the town boards, the town board and the mayor, although the office was very, very little, that first office was, do you know where the fire department had their building?
Yes.
You do remember the old building that they had?
Yes.
There's a little building that's right next to it.
Okay.
That's where my office was.
Oh, okay.
So, and all the board members could rearrange their chairs so that we were all tightly knitted in the room when we had our board meetings. And I
Oh,
took
wow.
minutes,
Yeah.
kept records and stuff like that. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but my heart was with the CPA work. So
I can imagine.
yeah.
Had to time to move on.
I worked with some wonderful people.
Right.
Yeah,
Now, did you take minutes on a typewriter or did you take
typewriter.
handwritten? Okay.
Oh, handwritten
Okay.
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then type it.
And then
You type it up.
type it up.
hmm
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You know, today we kind of forget about how easy it is just to backspace, and and
Mhm.
or space down, or I spelled that word wrong. You push the button and it'll fix it.
hmm
But them typewriters that was a whole lot more work.
It was, and when they read the meters, I'd have to type up the bills.
Oh man.
So it was very time consuming, but I made it work,
Yeah.
and I had the support, so that was good.
That's always
I
good.
was the only one in the office, though. There was not anybody else in the office working.
Right. So you had to deal with all the customers, type up
Yeah.
all the stuff.
Yes,
Phew.
yes. So it's wonderful that today things are more up to date
Mhm.
and can get through it quicker,
That's right.
so
That's
be more productive.
So I've heard stories of barges coming up the Trent River all the way, I guess almost to Comfort, delivering stuff. And if you take the river now, I mean, it just seems almost impossible that
Right.
boats could go up that far. Was the river not as deeper back then, or was it?
Well, it was about the same back then, but the storms, the hurricanes that we've had in recent years have put trees across the river. Some have been cleared out. But with the time has changed so much is because before 18-wheelers, barges would come up and deliver, and Pollocksville was a shipping port for this area. There were warehouses built there right on the banks in Pollocksville. So it was a trade center right here in Pollocksville, So
Yeah.
it was most of this was before what I remember, but I remember the buildings still being there before they were torn down. Of course, it's now the town park.
Right.
And we now have a nice wildlife ramp, and it's been updated, so modern day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now I've heard stories of people skiing in the mill pond.
Yeah.
And skiing up and down the Trent River. Now, did you ever participate in any of those events or
afraid so.
shenanigans?
We did. In fact, we raised our girls water skiing.
Okay.
And back before the children were water skiing, had good friends of ours would water ski. We would ski to Newbern, turn around. One would ski to Newbern, the other one would ski back all the way.
Now, how many miles is that? It seems like a little. I've made that trip one time on a boat, and it seemed like I was never going to get to Newbern.
It's about 18 miles. It's
Yeah, by water.
It's 15 miles by highway, but about
Uh-huh.
18 time you go all the crooks and twists.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful river. It's just really nice, and we've ended up having probably 5 or 6 boats over the years, and we've just thoroughly enjoyed it. We taught the children how to ski, and me, Mom, she would ski too. And she about as good as they were. So.
Is that right?
Well,
So we had a good time doing that, but we don't have a boat anymore. We just enjoy talking about the fun we had.
I understand.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
Now, there are alligators in the Trent River.
Right.
Were there alligators back then, or y'all didn't think about them, or we just
I never saw one.
okay?
In
Yeah,
Trent
there's
River.
alligators in Trent River, but there's more alligators in Catfish Lake.
Okay.
Yes.
In fact, we used to go to the lake, as I was saying earlier, we would fish and cook the fish, and the game as well. But we would set up 2 stakes and put a trot line between the two and have hooks all along the way to catch fish. Well, we'd go back the next morning to harvest the fish, and there was an alligator had flipped around, he was eating the fish off it, and he had flipped around and caught the tip of his tail in a hook.
Oh,
And he tried to swim away, and he couldn't swim away because he was detained. So we decided we're going to do something clever. We rode the boat right up beside him, throwed a hitch over his mouth so he wouldn't bite us, and rolled him into the boat, tied him up, and hauled him on a pole on our shoulders. With 2 of us with alligator hog tie, put him on a panel truck, brought him to Pollocksville, showed him to everybody in Pollocksville. Then we started to carry him back. So we carried him back by the little road and decided to turn him loose and let him find his way from a branch back to the lake.
uh-huh.
But when we were getting him out of the truck, and Daddy was leading him with the rope with the half hitch on his mouth, and when it did, the rope slipped off, and he lunged forward and bit Daddy on the leg.
Oh no!
So we had to take Daddy to the doctor.
Mm.
But anyway, we decided we'd cut him loose and let him be on his own.
Okay, 2 questions. How old were you when you were hog tying out an alligator?
About 15,
Okay, and how big was this alligator?
about 7 feet long.
So it wasn't a little baby.
No, he was a big one.
Yeah. Whew.
Mm.
As soon as you said it got hooked in its tail, I thought this
Yeah.
story is gonna get a little crazier. I feel like.
Right.
Now, was that? I mean, obviously there were alligators in there. Was that the first time a lot of people in Paulsville had seen this alligator? Well, I can imagine that was probably a big
Yeah.
deal.
Well, it was. In fact, you could go and with a 5-cell flashlight and shine it around the lake and see their eyes because they would look at the light. And there was a lot of alligators, but over the years, the Marine Corps being Camp Virginia, Cherry Point being here, and these guys having sniper type rifles, well, they took out a lot of the alligators.
Okay.
Just practiced and fun
Yeah.
doing it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
So the population of alligators kind of diminished some, but still there's alligators in there.
Right.
So you're subject to see one anytime.
Now, if I remember correctly, there was a picture at, I don't know, there's a restaurant down in Pottsville a few years ago. I think maybe the flood got it, maybe it's closed down before the flood in 18, but there was a picture of a very, very large alligator
Right.
in there. That was how big, do you remember how big that alligator was?
I don't remember that picture. I remember the picture, but I don't know
How big
long
it was.
Yeah.
It was a nice one for sure. I kind of keep me away from Shrimp River. At least I wouldn't go swimming in it.
You just put your boat in and just enjoy the ride.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, what would you say are your 3 favorite things about Jones County, or 3 things you enjoyed the most over the years raising a family and making a living here?
I would say my favorite thing is people are pretty much like we are. We enjoy elbow room. We enjoy the community. People in Jones County are community oriented. They'll do anything, give you your shirt off their back, do anything to help a neighbor, and it's contagious. And having good neighbors and good friends, and a little bit slower pace of living. So, like I met Gene in Raleigh, and that's a little busy for me. I was working for a builder, and it was all hands on deck. But when the work is done in Jones County, you can at least breathe and have a little elbow room and time to relax and vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, what about you, Miss Jean?
What's your question?
What's 2 or 3 things that you like most about Jones County? Either 2 or 3 things that happened in the past that you really remember, or things just in general, like he said, the pace of life.
I'm like Alan. I have met a lot of people in Jones County since we've been married, and a lot of people he has mentioned their names, and it's really nice to connect. And they are friendly. And one thing at this point in my life that I am really, really excited about is watching so many of our young people becoming active and working in the county, and they're good. They're really good at what they're doing. I mean, I've watched and I've seen things that have been happening, and I love the support that we all give each other in that process, and I think it's important. I really do. But I think that would probably be one of the things that I appreciate so much. I love our church and our church family. We go to the Presbyterian Church, and that's been our church since we moved here. Alan was raised in that church.
That's right. I was raised there and was real pleased when our church sponsored the filling station,
Yeah.
which was made possible by Bob and Carol Maddox. They had Jenkins Gas Company. It was no longer a company, so they helped us to get the building, and the filling station serves the public
Yeah.
and of Jones County, and we're just real proud of that. The filling station has brought in a lot of volunteers, a lot of people who have needs, but been a little embarrassed to ask. But we've learned that they feel comfortable to go up and say, well, hey, I can get in line just as good as anybody and not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
So-
at our meeting, Jim Foscue at the Foscue Plantation donated money
Okay.
to 3 different churches, and that money was not supposed to be used for brick mortar. It was supposed to be used for a mission.
Right.
And the Presbyterian Church session decided that it would be a good thing to consider doing something, and that building was available. I used to work at Jenkins Gas Company too.
Okay.
So, you know the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
filling
how it
station.
got started. But
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to see how everything is coming together, and love seeing all the young people just being so active and wanting to be involved. That's meant a lot to both of us
Right.
to see that.
Yeah.
Not
Now-
that we're ready to quit
Quit,
or
right,
anything
yeah.
like that, but we still are very, very active. So, but that's wonderful to
Yeah.
see that happening.
So you mentioned your church. Y'all both work public jobs full time. You farm. You're
Mhm.
raising kids. I know there's a lot of other opportunities to be involved in the community, like
Right.
JCs or like the Rotary Club. Did y'all participate in any of those type?
Rotary Club.
Okay.
Yes, we're members of the Rotary Club. That was what Alan became a member of. That club was what he became a member of when we moved here.
60
And
years ago.
And our date nights was when the Rotary Club would have ladies' night and take us all out to dinner. And we go to Jacksonville to this restaurant that's no longer there. And it was wonderful because that was an outing, and I'd get somebody to stay with the girls so that we could go. And so that was something that we look forward to. And I especially look forward to it. Now we are still, well, Alan's still a member, and I have been a member for a number of years.
Gotcha.
Love our Rotary Club. It does. The people that are a part of it are, they want to do what's good for the county too. So,
Our Rotary Club was very influential in getting the first bank coming to Pollocksville.
Okay.
Also, the library. We were involved in helping to generate the library here. We also started about 2 or 3 years ago the Big Game Hunt, which was a big game hunt, mostly of deer,
Right.
that we would raise money. We'd gross about $60,000, and we would spend about $30,000 in net back into the community. 25 different directions that we would support the community with that venture. But unfortunately, the guys are kind of like me. I'm only 85, you know, but
Right.
yeah, most of them are as old or older. And so we just kind of aged out of that, and it's now being done by the Hunters Association.
Yes. Yes.
and we
It's-
haven't been, but we hear it's doing very well. So I'm excited for that too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's continuing.
When I moved here, the first thing people told me was they know I like to hunt.
Uh-huh.
They said you gotta get the Rotary Big Game Hunt. You gotta pay your money and get in a big game hunt. And so I've taken a few up there over the years.
Right.
Try to
That's
support, support
Yeah.
organizations that have done it. And I think the Hunter Association is also doing a good job giving money back, just like the Rotary Club
Yeah.
has done previously. So
Right.
that's good to hear. All right. Now, Mr. Allen, you used to raise tobacco.
Right.
Don't believe you're raising tobacco anymore, but I do understand you've got a new passion growing certain kinds of plants. And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, about 2 years ago, actually 10 years ago, let me step back a little further. I decided to harvest trees that were oversized. There were pines, loblolly pines, original pines that were naturally planted by nature, and they were 60 years old, and the bugs were in them, and so the Forest Service said, you need to go ahead and harvest those trees. So we did. And so we harvested the trees and planted back in their place longleaf pines, because the agriculture department thought that it's a good idea to promote longleaf pines because they were about to become extinct here in the county. So they said, hey, we'll actually co-op with you and pay you rental on the land if you'll plant them, and then the trees are yours. But that's what we did. We did that about 10 years ago, and I've just thoroughly enjoyed, because my daddy was a big tree lover. He would say to me, son, listen, do you hear that wind blowing through those trees? I said, yeah. He said, guess what? That's a lesson of life, because that the wind blowing through those trees lets you know that you're making money 24 hours a day. While you're sleeping, those trees are growing and producing. Said, and also those hog feeders that you hear banging when the hogs back out from eating. You know, if you fill those hog feeders up, the hogs are fattened 24 hours a day. So that was a lesson, but I had acquired a need for hobby. That was a hobby that I wanted to embrace, is nurturing the trees and making them productive. So we have planted 10 acres of longleaf pines. We also planted 10 acres of third generation improved loblolly pines. And so we keep them groomed and keep them clean, and wildlife love it. So there's nothing to see. We ride through the trails to see all kinds of turkeys, and deer feeding in the longleaf pine areas, especially longleaves.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a lot of fun, a lot of pleasure, and of course we won't ever see anything, but somebody in the future may end up getting some out of the
That's right.
benefit of the trees.
That's right. So you'd mentioned Catfish Lake. Anybody that's familiar with Catfish Lake knows
Right.
it's in the Croatan Forest. So I don't know, how long ago was the Croatan established? Was that established when you were born? I mean, or is that from before that, or do you remember it being established? Or
Yes, it was established well before I was born. I
Okay.
did know, and I don't recall right now when it was, back in the early 30s, when the Croatan Forest, and we've got about a mile in front of our house. In fact, in front of the farm is Croatan National Forest. It's about 300 acres in the tract in front of us, and it contiguous right on to Havelock.
mm-hmm.
So it worked out real good. We have used the forest for hunting, trail riding with our horses through the forest, and it's just been a wonderful place to live since we own this side and the government owns the other side. So
That's right.
And they maintain it. So that's nice.
Yeah, that makes yeah.
Yes, that
exactly.
makes a big difference.
So tell me a little bit about your horses. I know you said you grew up with a mule and and a pony, or that was kind of. Has that always been just around, or did y'all get them specifically when your girl started getting old enough to ride, or?
well, actually, tractors replaced the mules, obviously,
Okay.
and the pony aged out. But as the girls came along, we got horses, and the children were raised riding horses, and I kind of got addicted to the project of raising horses and training them. If you're training your daughter, you might as well be training a young horse too. So getting him ready for the next generation of horses. So I don't know, we've had 50 horses over the last 50 years, and they come and go. We've actually had horses that would board the horses here, and we would have friends that would come and ride their horses and ride our horses. So it got to be kind of a social thing, riding the horses. At one point, we had invited folks to come in. They were camping out in the pasture, going to ride through the national forest the next day. So they come in, and I bet we had 50 people camping in our pasture.
People out there in the pasture?
We probably had 50 people that was here riding horses, and we would do that. We would go other places. We'd haul our horses to other people, like in Winterville or to Cove City, places that would host a trail ride.
Mm-hmm.
They would have something similar, a wooded area that they could host a trail ride.
Yeah.
And we'd ride all day long. We would ride through the Croatan, across the Island Creek Road, through the farms down to Trent River, ride down to Trent River, and come back in a different route.
Uh-huh.
It did take us all day long. We'd leave out at 9 o'clock in the morning and get back at 6 o'clock in the evening.
Now, did y'all pack some snacks for along the way, or did y'all just stop by people's houses and beg them for a biscuit, or?
Well, there was no houses or biscuits where we were. It was all back country.
Right.
It was either along a branch, along the river, or through the woods. But we would pack sandwiches or a snack, and we would stop for lunch and tie the horses off and socialize and enjoy taking a break. And then we'd come back here, and typically we'd have a cookout. We'd barbecue chicken on the grill or do something like that to feed everybody. It was good times.
Now, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, did people care much if you rode your horses through their farm, or was that
You have to get permission.
you had to get permission?
Yeah, get permission to do that. Yeah.
And we tried to be very respectful, you know, and just stay on the road and not be in the field.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, folks were very compassionate, you know,
Oh, yeah.
wanting us to come, but they wanted us to make sure they wanted to let us know where they wanted us to ride, not ride too.
Yeah.
The folks that would ride with us, Alan would always be the trail boss, and because he knew the area and he was very familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
But we went up to Statesville, and there were several families that went because they were actively involved with horses, just like we were. And he would end up being the trail boss, and they just trusted him enough to provide that leadership. Sometimes I questioned it, especially when we were going up a mountain. It was kind of, he said, okay, get down, hold on to the saddle horn, and you'll be okay. He'll take you right on up.
Oh, wow.
And I always did.
Yeah.
I always did. So, along with all the hard work, we certainly have been able to include some special things that we enjoyed, always including the family members, with one exception. We did take up motorcycle riding as well. And it all started with a book that I put over there on the ottoman, and I said, would you mind reading that? He said, what is it all about? It was talking about horses.
Iron
horses, and I thought he'd pick it up, but it was all about motorcycles.
Uh-huh.
So we enrolled in a class over at Craven, and the highway patrolman there convinced Alan that I was pretty stable, that I could do okay. So my first bike was a Honda Rebel, and then I got the Fat Boy, and then Alan gave me the Softail Deluxe for my birthday. And we spent a whole month with another couple out west. Saw the most beautiful country ever. I'd love to go back sometime, but not on the motorcycle now.
Right.
Oh, it was so much
19
fun.
states in 30 days.
Yeah, and see, he provided all the plans. He had already come up with every plan for every single day.
Uh-huh.
It was perfect. It was a wonderful trip.
Now, did you ever take horses out west to ride, or
No, but we've had friends. Some of our friends we used to ride with have done that.
Okay.
But we didn't haul our horses out west. But we hauled our motorcycles out west.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
So, where was your favorite place to ride? I mean, obviously you're familiar with this area. You rode around, the house probably more than anywhere else. But if you could pick anywhere to go back and ride horses again, where would you go?
Probably the Uwharrie Forest.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
that's really
south
pretty.
of Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
No, is that right? Asheboro.
Asheboro.
Yeah.
They had horseback trails there, probably as good as any that you'd find. And there was also four-wheeler trails that would cross over. The four-wheeler trails go one way, and horseback trails, but the whole forest is full of the trails. Okay. So a lot of times we'd have a four-wheeler coming, and we would have to stop and let them go back.
I accused Alan, though. He would like to blaze trails, and it was just the two of us, and it was getting kind of late in the afternoon, and we were going through this area that I was not so sure that we were going in the right direction. And lo and behold, if we didn't come out exactly where he had planned for us to turn out. So the confidence that the girls and I had every time that we would take a trip or do anything like that, it was always 100%.
Yeah.
Always. So
I was accused by my friends of seeing before GPS that I had an internal compass.
Uh-huh. Now, what do you think that was? You had that ability to kind of know where you were and which direction you needed to go to get where you wanted to go.
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Because my favorite in my straight A's was drafting in high school, and I just enjoyed mapping and I have, if I can look at a map and pretty much have a photographic memory of what's on that map, you know, if I've ever been somewhere, you know, I can go back again, and that's just kind of a God-given talent that I have, and I think that's why I enjoyed, you know, trailblazing, going places never been before, and exploring. But answering your question is that growing up, I always watched the sun, because, you know, it would go to work when the sun came up, and you get off late in the afternoon, and you'd eat lunch in the middle time. Riding horses or riding motorcycles or anywhere where you are that you've never been before, you need to know where the sun is and where it should be, where you are in respect to it. So, you know, I just kind of got a knack for knowing where I am at all times because of the sun. Even on a cloudy day, I do pretty good.
Yeah. I've been lost in the woods coon hunt before.
Yeah.
And the most lost I've ever been was in a 15-acre piece, and the road went all the way around it. And I knew if you walk any direction, you would get to a road.
Eventually.
But I got so turned around in there, when I got out to the pavement, I kissed the ground. I was so, you know, it was dark, but still, I was like, man, anybody that can get out of, know where they're going and end up where they want to go, I have a lot of respect for.
Right.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, they accused me of having an internal compass to the internal GPS.
Yeah.
But I never did use a compass. But I always just had that feeling as to where I was.
Know which way to go.
So I always got elected to be the leader, because they always said the reason I want you to be the leader is because you know where you're going. We don't.
Yes, that's exactly right. You know where you're going, people will tend to follow you.
That's right.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's why it's important for children to get a good education, be a good leader today, is because people are looking for leaders today.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, getting a good education and persevering, get a good college education, and people will follow you if you know what you're talking about.
That's right. Now y'all live on a dead end road, and there's some houses around. Is there more houses than there used to be growing up, or fewer, or as far as I know, population wise, the county hasn't grown much in the last 100 years, but I didn't know if you've seen more houses or less houses, or.
There's
Well,
only been a couple houses that were built since we've been here.
Yeah, it's pretty much like it's been. Folks would move out, or the house would fall down from lack of repair when somebody passes away, and then somebody builds a new house. So we may have a house or two on this road more than there was 80 years ago. But for the most part, it stayed pretty much the same. You know, we would lose a house, we'd gain a house. But right here on the farm, there was one house, but now there's 4 houses on this farm, and they're all our family.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Jimmy and Hilda, they live at the
Yeah.
end of the road, and Janet and Blair Purvis,
Okay.
they built a house up here,
Yeah.
and they, on the opposite side of the
Across the road. Yeah.
And then James Sabota and Billy Sabota,
Okay.
they live in the house next to Jeremy and Mary Ann.
Gotcha.
You know, there's some woods there.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
She's my cousin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
First
Thelma,
cousin
his
daughter.
sister, lives on the other side of
Other
the home
side.
place.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
they're
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of vendors just around Hollisville in general, but sounds like y'all keeping this road,
yeah.
going.
We have good neighbors,
That's good.
really good neighbors, and yeah,
Makes a big difference.
yeah.
Was there anything we didn't talk about that you think you wanted to get off your chest or talk about or let people know? Or
I think we pretty well covered it.
it sounds like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all's time today.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming and spending time with us. We enjoy sharing,
Yeah.
and
We just love Jones County. We
We
love
do.
Follisville, and more than anything, love Mill Creek and all our neighbors up here.
we certainly do. I think all of it too goes back to how you feel, about a place. You look at something, you don't look at it negative. You look at it very positive.
Right.
And that's very important, I think. We got wonderful neighbors and a wonderful community, and he and I both love being involved and helpful. I'm not as much involved now as I was at one time, as Alan will tell you,
Yeah.
but I'm still involved.
Yes.
So,
You know, that's one of my favorite expressions. If you don't know, then you don't know. The only way to know is to persevere, learn, step out, get involved, be informed, and see if you can help grow your community, your county. And I just think we have a wonderful county, and I just love it because we haven't planted a big city here in the county. It's 4 small towns, and everybody's good neighbors, and it's just a wonderful place to live and raise children and to grow up.
That's right. Well,
and I would say our Rotary Club has been very energetic. I've enjoyed, I was president twice, and everybody works so well together, and Christmas on Main is a community event,
yes.
and everybody gets involved. You probably have been.
Yes.
There.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
Yeah,
You see people you
and
haven't
the
seen.
children,
And
and the children having so
Yes.
much fun too.
that's right.
So
Just a lot of joy.
yeah, so that's fun. It's fun, and also you feel good about knowing that something good's going to come out of that.
That's right.
We have a strong Rotary Club.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good members. Good members.
For sure.
Yeah. And our church family. I would say those two things are right there at the very top. And we enjoy doing things with our immediate family.
Right.
We have a good time. Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank y'all again. And
Well, thank you for coming.